Hello everybody. Welcome back to the channel where we talk about stuff. Don't forget to follow me on Facebook. There's a link in the description below. Where we are now kind of continues to get crazier every day. I know, believe me, I'm on the same exact boat as you, believe me. But it's something that we actually have to go over. So, about 2 years ago, I started to make videos about the scarcity of Bitcoin because it kept on popping up. And a lot of people then, I remember, people made fun of me or like called me names or weird things because I think the idea of digital scarcity still isn't something that's like prominent in people's minds. You can understand it, but it's like when I hear or like I tell you that MicroStrategy has almost 500,000 Bitcoin. You hear the 500,000, but your brain isn't multiplying 500,000 Bitcoin, 500,000 Bitcoin times Bitcoin's current price. And then when you hear the price in dollars, you're like, oh, and I think that's mainly because we're just beginning to get into like a more like Bitcoin centric world. A lot of people have been trying to do it for a number of years, but it's not as big as it's going to be in the future as far as like with Satoshis. So it's one thing for me to say like 1 Bitcoin to you, but it's another thing to say like 138 million Satoshis. Some people got it, but other people are like, how much Bitcoin is that? And that's where we're kind of, the direction that we're actually moving into. A lot of the news tends to, at least recently, be focused on very specific things. So we will hear about the ETFs accumulating. We'll hear about MicroStrategy accumulating or like kind of along that thing. But we forget at the same exact time that there's countries accumulating, normal people buying up tons of Bitcoin and mining it as well. This is kind of like a blast from the past, but not really because it's happening right now. It's a company who announced years ago that they were also going to get into crypto, not only crypto, but going to get into Bitcoin as well, which I also think is very fascinating because people had a really big problem with that. Do you remember, I want to say 4 years ago, the CEO of Ripple came forward on the news and he announced that like he actually likes Bitcoin, and people were like, what? You can't like Bitcoin. You only like XRP. You work for Rapple. And I was like, you know that people can do different things, right? They don't always have to just do the exact same one thing forever. And also, it would be psychotic. Psychotic is the word for any major CEO in this space to not like and own any Bitcoin. Like, you would have to be completely out of your mind to see, like, you know how like we get the news? They get like first-hand accounts of when countries are buying, institutions, like who's doing what before they even announce it. So being that high up in one of the largest companies, one of the largest coins, of course he likes Bitcoin and of course he owns it. For those of you who also don't know, all of these people know each other, and a lot of them went to the same schools and worked for the same companies. A lot of them also worked on Bitcoin. They left and made their own projects, and this is how we got Lumens. This is how we got XRP. This is how we got Ethereum. This is how we also got Cardano. And I mean, subsequently a couple of other coins, but they're not that important per se. Tether is in the news. This is important because people forget that Tether is a thing. People forget that just besides Tether, that Tether does other things. I know it sounds ridiculous, but like think about it. We keep hearing what to focus on, what's important, what thing like we should have an actual eye on, but so much of it ends up being missed because of everything else that's actually going on at the exact same time. Tether announced years ago that they liked Bitcoin a lot and that they were going to start investing money into Bitcoin, and people were like, you can't do them, like you're Tether, you can't like do anything else. I think Tether was also one of the first major companies in the space to announce that they were also mining Bitcoin, and people were like, But what about Tether? All this other kinds of stuff. Tether announced years ago that they would, because Tether does, make an enormous amount of money from transactions on the actual chain. The last number that we got was last year, and I think stable coins in total, but I think Tether does a 90 or 95%, like they control 95% of the entire stablecoin market. And this is why we keep seeing the desperation from Coinbase and Circle Coin, like trying to make other people use them. It's because everyone's using Tether. Tether, the entire stablecoin market, I believe, did, I think, 4 trillion. I want to say 4 trillion worth of transactions during the course of a year. And that equates to a substantial amount of money made by those companies, namely Tether. And Tether announced that they would be using 15% of their profits from Tether and push that into Bitcoin. We haven't heard from them in a while. To be fair, I think a lot has been going on. I think a lot of also has been taking place within crypto and Bitcoin and altcoins and ETFs and taxation and all these other kinds of things. But now Tether's back in the news, and pay attention to this one because it's also incredibly significant. Tether, the issuer of Tether, has recently increased its Bitcoin holdings by $700 million US. Tether purchased another 7,629 Bitcoin, valued at $700 million US, and added it to their corporate crypto reserves. Tether, who we never hear about. We hear about MicroStrategy. We hear about MetaPlanet. We hear about other people in the space who has 5,000, 10,000, 14,000 Bitcoin, and this company has this and the ETFs have that. No one ever says Tether. Tether owns 82,983 Bitcoin. They have billions of dollars worth of Bitcoin. This is why I keep saying when I talk about the entire scarcity thing and people really not paying attention or people laughing or whatever years ago, is because you can't really hyper conceptualize all the numbers because we see Bitcoin flowing through the chain, but there's no real names on these actual wallet addresses. That's why also when we saw this money moving last year, and I still do not think that Germany actually sold their Bitcoin. Same exact thing when Vitalik was moving around his coins. And I think there's a lot of news about Justin Sun moving his coins as well, but I think it's because he wants to be popular. What ends up happening is they simply move it to another wallet that doesn't have like, this is Vitalik Buterin's wallet. This is the German wallet. This is America's wallet, like that kind of thing. Because I think they want their coins to like not be on the actual radar. So we don't know, and we can't really compile a complete list of how much Bitcoin is being held or is owned by companies, corporations, and or people or countries as well. Tether never makes it into the actual news. They almost have 83,000 Bitcoin. That's 83,000 millionaires and billionaires who will never be able to own an entire coin because of Tether. Do you know where the future's going? Do you understand how weird it's going to be? As I said in another video, some of you have more Bitcoin than millionaires right now in the world will ever be able to own. Think about it. Mathematically, we know because it's estimated that there are 60 million millionaires on the planet. Maximum 21 million Bitcoin. 19 million have been mined. So even if we could, every person would have maximum, or every millionaire would be able to have a maximum of a third, maximum 0.3, not even 3 repeating, of a Bitcoin. Maximum. When you hear that one company has 83,000, that decimates any hope that they have decimates of ever being able to have an entire Bitcoin, nonetheless a third of a Bitcoin. So a lot of you right now, you own more Bitcoin than the other 83,000 people will never be able to own more than you. 81624 24226 246,000 people, millionaires, will never be able to own a third of a Bitcoin. That's where that number 0.28 comes in. And this only gets crazier because when a company buys 7,600 Bitcoin, well, guess what happens to that? That's another 7,000 people taken off. MicroStrategy, 500,000 Bitcoin. Yeah. Keep paying attention, everyone. Follow the money. Tether's in the news today. Tether holds an enormous amount of Bitcoin, as do other crypto exchanges as well. Remember, I told you before, last point, years ago, a lot of people were trying to like corporations were talking about how much crypto they had like within the space. And we heard that this company had 44,000. This company had 13,000. The US has 200,000 Bitcoin. And Coinbase came forward and said, yeah, we only have 2,000. And I was like, what? Yep. In our reserves, we only have 2,000 Bitcoin. Coinbase started in like 2012 or 2013. They got Bitcoin for $1. You mean to tell me you spent $300 million creating this gigantic company that was based solely, Coinbase was a Bitcoin exchange. It wasn't an altcoin exchange. It wasn't a cryptocurrency exchange. It was a Bitcoin exchange. And other coins were kind of forcibly added over multiple years. But it took them, remember in 2017, 2018, Coinbase had like 7 coins? It was a Bitcoin exchange. You mean to tell me Bitcoin went from $1 to $20,000? And you guys were like, nope, 2,000 Bitcoin's enough. I can't imagine how much Bitcoin Coinbase had. If this is Tether, Tether has 83,000 Bitcoin. I would assume Coinbase has 200, 300,000 Bitcoin. Coinbase is also like the custody solution for all the ETFs in America. You mean to tell me you see where this space is going? You guys haven't bought an extra Bitcoin? You can lie to yourselves, but you can't lie to the general public. Yeah, the accumulation trends continue. It's getting crazy. I know I sound ridiculous, but I still hold out hope that tomorrow 100 million people will flood into crypto and buy their 0.003 of a Bitcoin so that they have something for the future. I know it's not going to happen, but I'd rather see the public buy Bitcoin than all of these corporations. If you have $7 billion worth of Bitcoin and it goes to $1 million, I was going to say you never have to work again, but you don't have to work again with $1 billion. So let's be honest here. Right. The news continues. Accumulation continues to rise. I do hope that you've all enjoyed. Hope you all are having a great day, morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are, wherever you might be. I do hope it's absolutely fantastic. Thank you all once again for watching, listening, liking, commenting, and supporting. And I will most certainly be talking to you all soon. See you.